Hello, my name is Itzel San Roman, and I'm a PhD student in the Department of Geography at the University of Sheffield. I was born in Mexico City, but when I was a teenager, my parents decided to move to Cancun. This was around the late 90s. Cancun is very famous for its blue turquoise Caribbean Sea that contrasts beautifully with the white sand beaches that you can enjoy all year long because of its natural steady tropical weather. It also has the second largest coral reef barrier in the world, archaeological sites, and these combined with luxurious hotels, fancy restaurants, and amazing nightclubs makes it the best place to visit and definitely to live there. So what many people don't know about Cancun is that it is the perfect example of the neoliberal development model that governments like to promote. When it was created in the 70s at the north of the Yucatan Peninsula, it only had 200 inhabitants. They created it to propel economic growth all over the peninsula. And now, 49 years later, it has a population of 700,000 people. It has an offer of more than 35,000 hotel rooms, where it receives around 5 million international visitors. So I used to believe that this was development, a mega strategic project implemented by the government with the help of the private sector to benefit the people. Because when my family and I moved there, Cancun was a land of opportunities. Everyone could find a job or open a business, and everybody enjoyed a very high quality of life, and the city was very secure. However, as the tourism industry grew, life got harder too. And it's like I didn't notice until it was too much not to see. Now water pollution is evident, the coral reef is sick, the exuberant rainforest vegetation that used to be there is now substituted with pavement and housing and shopping malls and more hotels. And this changed the weather too. We don't have those warm but breezy days and fresh nights anymore. Now during the day, the sun burns you with no mercy, and at night, the pavement releases all the heat. And because tourism creates mostly low-graded jobs with very poor working conditions, poverty was suddenly visible in the city. And also insecurity increased, as well as drug cartel activity. So I wasn't even free to move around my city without the fear of being robbed, to say the least. So this didn't seem like development to me anymore. And it really upset me to hear the government and the private sector kept propelling this myth about tourists being this engine of progress and making people's lives when it wasn't. So I had to do something about this. And because I'm a geek, I decided to do a PhD. Because I thought if I could focus on this situation, maybe I could contribute with some knowledge that eventually would lead us to a better development. I knew many researchers in the region support this type of neoliberal development, so I decided to do my PhD abroad, and that's how I got here. So I decided to focus on community-based tourism, community-based tourist projects carried out by rural and indigenous communities in the peninsula. Because this type of tourism is growing, but is not yet consolidated, and so far the government is ignoring, but the private sector is getting interested in those territories. So I thought that with my research, maybe I could help these communities. And I had this brilliant idea of creating these community-based tourist business models so these communities could make more money, because I thought that development equaled economic growth. So with this idea, I traveled back to the Yucatan Peninsula and visit different communities without expecting them to change radically my ideas about development. One of these communities is called Chunyakshe. It is located 20 kilometers south of Tulum in front of the natural protected area of Siancan. This community receives the highest tourist influx of all the places I visit, and they can receive up to 108 people per day. They do boat tours in the lagoons of Chunyakshe and its channels that were used by the ancient Mayas to do commerce. But now these modern Mayan people take you to see these beautiful places so you can take a swim there and you can learn about the vegetation and the fauna of this area. There is no mobile or internet signal there. There is no direct transportation, and there are no hotels. But I got permission to stay in the natural protected area in Apalapa with a forest ranger, and it was the best experience. I had the second floor of the palapa for myself, where I only had a hammock where I had to sleep, which was a challenge, because they told me I couldn't use my sleeping bag as it was dangerous because of snakes. And during my stay, every morning, my neighbors, these howling monkeys, woke me up at 4:30 in the morning with their shouts. So I was always prepared to see how the lagoon came alive around 6:30 in the morning, when the people from the community began to arrive to prepare the boats for the tours. And after cleaning the boats, most of them bring food to share with others and have breakfast together, to which I was invited. However, these peaceful and fun moments are rapidly interrupted when the tourists begin to arrive at around 8 a.m., almost not stopping till 5 p.m., which is the last hour they can take people to the lagoon. 4 different cooperatives work in this area. They are all from the community, but despite there are different organizations, I was very surprised to see that their actions are guided by the values of solidarity and reciprocity. They have established tour prices to prevent unfair competition. They take turns to make the sales so everybody has an equal opportunity to make some money during the day. They also clean the common areas together, and they also collaborate to pay trainings and certificates. And this generosity extends towards their visitors too. In my case, they were very happy to help me with my research. And because they love to share their culture and their stories with anyone who's open to listen, they even gave me free Mayan language classes. So I learned to say things like Malopkin, which is good morning, Bashkawalik, what's up, Mishba, nothing's up, Yumbotik, which is thank you, and the most useful one, Chupitulaka, which is I'm done for the day. So tourism seems to be working out for these communities. However, through my interviews, I found out that they have to keep fighting the pressure they receive from the government constantly, which is always increasing regulation and constraining their operation. Just a couple of months ago, the government reduced the number of visitors they can take to the lagoon to 96. This is 2 boat tours less per day. They say that with the boats, they are eroding the channels, but the government is not doing anything about the private investors that are building hotels just across the lagoon in the littoral area. They also have to defend their rights over the land because if private investors are getting interested in them. And they even have to defend their prices against greedy travel agencies that want to charge them up to 50% of commission over the price just to sell the tours to the market. However, associating because of tourism has empowered this community to fight these pressures. And for them, community-based tourism is more than an economic activity. It has become a political statement because now they are the creators of opportunities for their own people in the forms of jobs with decent work conditions that they wouldn't get anywhere else. And this has helped propel the growth of the informal sector. So more people are finding job and business opportunities inside the community and they don't have to migrate. And this is also protecting their culture. It is a form of development from below, where they challenge not only the private and the public sector, but the whole economic system. These people don't want more money, they just want better opportunities for themselves and for their children. So now, I had to change my project, and now I'm using theories like the social and solidarity economy that is propelled by Latin American academics, which states that the objective of the system shouldn't be about the accumulation of capital, but to improve people's lives. So I hope with my research, can help understand how these values of solidarity and reciprocity that rule these communities can help us towards a system centered on people's well-being. Chupitulaka.